Well, I can tell you why they think there's something wrong with the masculine man, but that's because we're the gatekeepers of morality. Men are always going to be the ones that lead revolutions. When you're in charge of a country or you're in charge of a populace, whatever it is, it's like the olden days. You walk into the new town and kill all the young men or the military-age males. Slit all the boys' throats because they're going to be a problem in 5 years. That's what it is. So let's imagine, let me make up a fake scenario. Let me just invent something. Let's imagine you want to lock everyone in their houses because of the common cold. Let's imagine you're completely tyrannical and you're a psycho. What you'd want to do is make sure that men comply. It's only the men who can stop the compliance. There's only enough men in one place saying fuck you. It's not women. If all the women get in a place, it's annoying. But if all the men get in a place, it's a revolution. It's different. Call me misogynist, but it's true. It's large groups of men that are always going to be the backbone and fighting force and the number one thing they're afraid of. By reducing masculinity as a whole, you're reducing the warriors of society. They don't want people to stand up and say, no, we stand for these values and we will not let you corrupt our children this way. So they have to try and attack masculinity at its core, get you to the point where you're like, well, maybe it's good if I'm tolerant, and they poison everybody. That's what they want.
Hollywood as well, you made a good point online that now even the kind of lead male roles in films are being stripped away of their masculinity.
The Arnies and Stallones. Why we all started training? When we used to box or we used to train, which movie would you always watch?
Oh, bro,
Rocky.
yeah, 100%.
It was Rocky.
100%.
Everyone came out to Eye of the Tiger. We'd be an amateur boxing show. You'd have 15 kids in little pants. 70 kilos. Like, it was the thing. You wanted to be Rocky. I bought those Argos York weights.
Yeah.
Made
of sand, full of sand. Plastic.
That's why I have big arms, nothing else. You know, never squat, like just arm curling and laying on the floor and benching. Yeah. That was it. It was Argos is like
I know, I brought the books I had.
Carrefour,
yeah.
And it was the thing. Our generation was that. It was either football, you want to be like Gaza, or you want to be like Frank Bruno in those days of the boxer. But Rocky, Mike Tyson, Stallone, Arnie, this was our generation. Now, like you said, it's Peter Parker, his kids, good actors, but I mean, they're changing it without you realizing, if you know what I'm saying. They're like, put it into your heads.
No Dolph Lundgren, no Arnie.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they're trying to deliberately convince you that physical strength doesn't matter because along with... I personally believe, I spoke about this earlier, I think that it's actually one of the most crazy things about the modern world is that people think that your mental strength and your mental resilience has absolutely no bearing on your physical strength and physical resilience. It's like your mind is inside of your body. And people talk about mental health, and they want to keep mental health completely segmented from your physical health and also from your lifestyle. Like, they're linked. When someone comes along and goes, what about mental health? I say, okay, right, we can talk about mental health, but you're fat as fuck. So let's start here. No, but you can't ignore that. Or
I took that personally, bro.
So, no, I was about to tell right.
I was like this.
Or they'll come to me and say, I'm depressed. It's like, okay, but we want to talk about mental health. That's fine. But your life is shit. You are objectively a loser. Like, you can take pills to pretend you're not a loser or try and forget the fact or be happy with the fact you're a loser. But if you're going to live that lifestyle, let me tell you something, my friend. If I was you, I'd be depressed. So you can't ignore these things.
I think it's a two-way sword as well, where some people are in a bad bit of health, so it makes them depressed. Some people are depressed, so it puts them in a bad bit of health.
Yeah.
So there's that. But either way, it doesn't excuse the fact that action is the remedy. And what you say there about mental health and physique as well, for martial arts, like, people don't understand when I say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu helped my mental health. I know what you have to say about BJJ. And do you know what?
I won't get started.
And I'm not gonna try and pull guard against you here, but still, like. It's true. You actually need to line up the body with the mind. You need a distraction. And also, I believe all human beings are problem solvers, and we need to constantly be thinking and challenging and developing areas of our life. A lot of people out there that, let's say, are obese or struggling with mental health, bar their job and their relationship, often, imagine this, right? I say to people, calorie deficit, eat less. But if you don't enjoy your job and you're in a meaningless relationship, I'm not surprised you spend the other 5 hours of your day eating calorie-dense foods. Yeah. And if we can't address and get into people's minds to say, you need to be in a serving relationship or be single, which is probably going to benefit everyone knows how shredded you get after a breakup. But also, the work component is massive. So many people have been bred to kind of just go to work, clock in, clock out. Happiness is a currency we don't even talk about anymore. So, you know, if we're not going to say, do a job you enjoy, or we're going to use money as a standard metric of success, then we're almost breeding people. And no one's coming along, as you say, to actually say to them, sort your life out, find something you enjoy. It's absolutely bonkers that it's perfectly acceptable. You couldn't even say that. Let's say you're sat on a plane. I've been on a plane before, and the lady next to me couldn't get her tray down, so she had to use mine. And I thought there at that moment, the only person less comfortable than me is her having to ask me that. And I felt like saying, like, hey, I'm a PT, can I help? I didn't want to be condescending. I didn't want to offend her. I didn't want anything to kick off on a plane. And I was like, wow, I'm in a position now in my life where I can't even say to someone, hey, do you want some help? Do you want some advice? Because then you're fat phobic.
But this is the thing. We talked about this started with an attack on masculinity. I think the reason there's such a large men's mental health crisis is because of the attack on masculinity. When you tell people with an innate desire to be masculine, whether it's God-given, whatever, like you said, they have innate desires. We're all born with innate desires. God has told us some things are just wrong and some things are just right. And you have an innate desire to act a certain way, and then society is telling you that if you act that way or if you have those desires in any way, you are a bad person. That's where the men's mental health comes from. That's where all these men are sad and depressed, is because they're like, you know what? I'm not supposed to want to just get big, get strong, get important, get a hot girl, get a nice car. I'm not supposed to want that. I'm supposed to want this. This is garbage. And they sit in this middle area. The happiest people I know are people who are unapologetic. I'm just saying, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I do.
truly believe it's something natural. It's like you were saying, where do rules come from, or who decides? Even if we're born, we're stuck in, say, some island, everyone's thrown us there. Mums give birth. We all know, without having any education, any religion, anything, that we wouldn't sleep with our own mum. We wouldn't.
Correct.
Your mum, no one is going to say, I'm going to fuck my mum or I want to marry her. It's natural inclination. You know, it's something inside of you that tells you that. Everyone's built with this kind of, God's given you that. Whether you believe in God or a power or whatever, there's something given to everyone's human being, this natural inclination to something where a guy wants to jump off a tree like we used to break our arms, or do something daring, or the girl's more caring or affectionate in a way. I'm not saying men aren't. Everyone has to a degree, have every attribute. But the woman, for me, I put them on a pedestal, is a university. I like what you say. Women shouldn't be ashamed of being housewives or wives. Look at our mums. Yep. My mum was the boss. Like, my dad was like the one, if my dad came, it was serious, or the stare, yeah? But the mum, she put me in gyms. She told me to do sport. They're the university. Everything you learn was kind of from them. Without them in society, that kind of role, society also, not only masculine men, but without that role of the mother or the wife, the next generation's finished. I think the family is starting to descend as well, and that's dangerous.
But you can't be a masculine man without a feminine woman. How can you be a masculine man if your woman tells you to get fucked? And then it's hard, right? So there's the synergies all destroyed.